Hello, my name is Jerry Beal, and I'm presenting myself as the smartest person in the world, and probably by far. And the reason is there's only one reason for that. Okay, there's only one reason for that, and that is that I know the truth, and I know that almost nobody else knows the truth. And the truth I'm talking about isn't things like, did you steal a cookie or not? Nothing like that. What I'm talking about is the truth that has to do directly with we human beings. And that truth is that we're cause pretending the roles of effect, using a body in various sense of self roles that we're playing out to pretend the roles of effect. And that makes it so that only our interpretations are able to cause our feelings and our experiences. Did you get that? Only our interpretations are able to cause our feelings and our experiences. And very unfortunately, our interpretations as they are now are based in what myself and A Course in Miracles calls wrong-minded thinking, which is incorrect-minded thinking. We're processing our feelings and our experiences using a false cause, and that would be that over there or this over here. This makes me happy and that makes me upset is the biggest lie that has ever infected the human mind. So the title to this is this: a false attachment to the material world is humanity's one and only real problem, while the basic care and keeping of bodies is humanity's very significant problem. What that means right off the top is that when the basic care and keeping of bodies is not the issue, when the basic care and keeping of bodies is not the issue, then nothing after that is able to matter at all. So let me give you this, and so that you will realize just how completely, how do you say it, bizarro world. I don't know if you know anyway, a different world that makes sense when you know the truth. And you believe me, you don't know the truth. You are not processing your feelings and experiences with only my interpretations are causing my experiences. You're processing your feelings and experiences with that person, that condition, or that event is making me upset. The hell it is. No, it is not. It can't make you upset. Only your problematic ways of thinking about it can make you upset. And so we're going into this writing with this one thing, and I want you to really think through this, okay? As it has to do with nonviolent, non-forcing child sexual so-called molestation, as it has to do with that, I'm not saying that it's okay for adults to be sexual with children. I'm not saying it's okay, and I'm not saying it's not okay. I'm saying, and I'll be proving in this writing with facts, with the truthful facts, that it can't matter. It can't matter. So what does it matter whether it's okay or not okay? You know, that's up to you and up to your particular taste or whatever. I'm saying it can't matter, and then you come along with your goddamn judgments after that. Well, it really matters. Well, if it really matters, does it really, really, really matter? Or maybe really, really matter? Or maybe just really matter? Or maybe just matter? What does it, where are any parameters there? Where are any truthful facts connected with that? Where are they? Okay, with that in mind, I want you to understand that. Now remember, again, I'm not saying it's okay and it's not okay. I'm getting away from judgment altogether by only dealing with the truth. And the truth is that what happened is what happened, and it's nothing else. It's just what happened. What we do is come along and say what happened is wrong when it comes to the adults being sexual with children, and everybody is chicken shit to hell, to differ with that, because then they'll think people are saying, well, that's, you must be a pedophile and blah, and then they get to judge you like really harshly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's okay or not okay. I'm saying it can't matter. And then you go from there with the truthful facts, only with the truthful facts, only with the truthful facts. And so again, a false attachment to the material world is humanity's one and only real problem, while the basic care and keeping of bodies is humanity's very significant problem. So my name is Jerry Beal, and I've been studying the actual cause and effects of human feelings, human experiences, human behavior, and even human decision-making for the last 25 passionate years. I damn well know what I'm talking about around these massively important areas of mental, human wellness. While I've been so passionately engaged and for so long, traditionally educated people who head up and work in our sociological and psychological institutions, at least here in the USA, haven't been studying these cause-effect relationships for even 25 seconds. They haven't even been studying for 25 seconds. I've been studying it for 25 years. It's because traditional human psychology is fundamentally flawed, and I'm absolutely certain of that. I would put my life on the line for that, what I just said. It's fundamentally flawed. In saying that makes me upset, what we should be saying is my problematic way of thinking about that is what's making me upset, and you know damn well that's the way we ought to be talking. Instead of that making me upset, it's my problematic way of thinking about that. And you see where we get tripped up is we call these things wrong. We sneak that awful, terrible word in, the word wrong, moralistically, we sneak that in and attach it to what happened, and then we're saying that's what is. That's what it is. It is wrong. No, it is not. It's what it is, and it's not something else, like a goddamn judgment upon itself. Normally, the title to this writing could wake up quite a few of we humans and give us a reason to search more and more into what this all means for us, if it's the truth. And remember, we experience the truth while we perceive and project anything and everything that isn't the truth. You get that? We experience the truth with our feelings. We experience it in our mind while we perceive and project anything else that isn't the truth, and it's almost always through our belief systems. Do you hear that? Belief systems. And those perceptions and projections always come out from our belief systems as opposed to the experiential truth. I'm able to explain this all out in quite a bit of detail, but I've tried in vain over 230 times to get some kinds of back and forth on this massively important situation. In trying to do this almost exclusively with legal people, law enforcement, politicians, and most of all traditionally educated clinical psychologists, and not a damned one of them is willing to talk with me about these seemingly very revolutionary, honest, and responsible ideas. What in the hell does it ever hurt to talk things out? What in the hell does it ever hurt to talk things out, even when they seem so odd compared to what you and nearly everyone else in the world has been programmed with, what is appropriately called wrong-minded thinking? The world is affecting us. The hell it is. We're affected by how we interpret the world with our belief systems, through our belief systems and our interpretations. I'll soon be letting you know the difference between wrong-minded thinking and right-minded thinking more in detail, with two story examples that you'll soon listened to. So now I'll be officially serving a legal petition to be heard in my own county, Yavapai, Arizona, to force our county attorney to come clean on what is supposed to go on in legal trials of all things, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If I've sent you this writing or you read it on my website, okay, my website is simply this. Now listen to this. correctyourmind.com. correctyourmind.com. That's my website. If I've sent you this writing or you read it on my website, correctyourmind.com, or you're listening to it on YouTube, it's because I'm seeking at least a small group of people to back me up when I serve the legal petition to be heard to my own county attorney, Sheila Polk. I've already sent her at least twice before materials and even packets of materials, a packet of material I sent her, like you're listening to here, and I've even begged her and so many others for a discussion on these materials. And so I'm more than sure than not that the legal petition to be heard will be refused to be heard if I don't have at least a small group of people to communicate to her something like this. For God's sakes, Sheila Polk, what is wrong with at least hearing what this Jerry Beal guy has to say? He's been passionately studying these issues for 25 years. He's at least due an honest and truthful discussion on these issues. Then, if you have the truthful facts to refute any of it, then let him have it. Tell him where he's missed the boat, and at least give him that courtesy. That's what I'd like. I need a small group of people to back me up that way, to where you don't have to agree with me necessarily, but to back me up and say, come on, don't be so chicken shit like you have been in the past. My 25 long years of passionate study let me know for sure that if these materials get heard and discussed, we will finally have a place in our minds and in our lives to turn the tide of wrong-minded thinking to literally save ourselves from ourselves, while inviting and sustaining a heaven on earth at the same time. And if we don't, we will not save ourselves from ourselves. I'll bet this has happened on many worlds throughout this local cosmos, let alone the multi-dimensions that science figures that there might be multi-cosmoses besides this one. But it comes to these kinds of things. When people don't correct their mind, they'll destroy themselves. And that's probably why we haven't been visited by extraterrestrials. They're waiting to see if we're able to correct our mind and to stop fighting and quarreling with each other over nothing at all. But if we do correct our mind, it's guaranteed that we'll invite and sustain a heaven on earth. Really, that's not pie in the sky. If we begin to adopt a correct way of processing our feelings and our experiences of life on purpose, a heaven on earth is the inevitable effect of that truthful cause. Again, I'm telling you this to get at least a small group of people to back me in at least getting heard officially. Otherwise, I know Sheila Polk enough to know that she'll just keep on ignoring me if I don't have some backing. Moving on. Almost no one realizes that when there are legal trials around various nonviolent, non-forcing human sexual activities, that there's not a damn shred of truth being presented in those incredibly highly problematic situations for both supposed victim and supposed perpetrator. And that's why they get pled out almost always. And then the excuse is that we don't want to embarrass the supposed victim and have the victim have to go to trial, and so they get these, you're either sentenced to 150 years in prison, and don't think, that's happened Judge Thomas Limburg here in Yavapai County has sentenced a sex offender to 150 years in prison. What a, oh my God. And then, but they'll say, but we'll only make you serve 20 years if you plead guilty. And that way they don't have to prove cause. They don't have to try to prove cause, because they can't prove cause in these kinds of trials. And that's what my legal petition will be saying. It's just another, this whole thing of making problems out of things that can't be problems is just another damnable con game that's going on. I told you that our problem is a false attachment to the material world. And so everything is a con game, including that. And it sure seems to me that when I try to talk with people about it, they do what the ostrich does, stick their heads in a hole and pretend I'm not saying anything to them, nor trying to get them to think through these ideas. Because of what people who know me and know about me now think of my life as a sort of failed life, I've been unwilling to accept that I screwed up my life, as nearly everyone would notice things with me, or at least accept my supposed mistakes as awakening to the truth within me, because that's exactly what's happened. Yeah, I screwed up my life, and I'll take responsibility in the area of wrong-minded thinking. According to wrong-minded thinking, I did screw up my life. But and I sure wouldn't be opening myself up like this if I wasn't absolutely certain of my own process of what most people see as making lemonade from the lemons of my life. With this in mind, I'm going to give you two real story happenings in my life to prove with the truthful facts that you and at least 95% of our entire human family is misplacing the actual cause of our feelings, our experiences, our behavior, and even our decision making. We're misplacing the cause of all of those things that are going on, where all of our stories come up, and that's what we're experiencing, is our own storylines that come up from our feelings, experiences, and our behavior and decision making. If that's, if we're relating to the wrong cause, that's why we're so screwed up in the world this way. And that's caused the kind of social people world we have now, in trying to make sense of a world so very unworthy of what we really are, and a social people world where war at nearly all levels of our lives together keeps us teetering on the edge of not being able to save ourselves from ourselves. Okay, so in the next subtitle here is this: there is no such thing as a real reward, and there is no such thing as a real victim when the care and keeping, the basic care and keeping of bodies is not the issue. Did you get that? When the basic care and keeping of bodies is not the issue, there is no such thing as a real reward, and there is no such thing as a real victim. You know what that also means? It also means there's no such thing as better and worse. There's no such thing as better and worse after the basic care and keeping of bodies is, when it's not about the basic care and keeping of bodies, there's no such thing as better and worse people. There's no such thing as better and worse conditions, and there's no such thing as better and worse events. There's no such thing as that. That's all a matter of interpretation, and it's strictly a matter of interpretation, and certainly not a matter of fact. And that makes it so that it can't matter. And that's why I told you, I didn't say whether it's okay or not okay to do this or do that or stand on your head or anything else. I'm just saying it can't matter unless it's about the basic care and keeping of bodies. It's true that our rewards are no different in our body life than landing on Boardwalk or Park Place in a game of Monopoly, buying those properties and watching the play money come rolling in when other players land on those pretend properties. Whether we're once removed or twice removed, we're still removed from the material world through our own false beliefs and interpretations about the material world. As I said, we believe what happens in the world is affecting our feelings and experiences, when I'm going to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that what happens has nothing at all to do with the way we humans experience our feelings or how we experience our lives. So when I say there's no such thing as a real reward or a real victim, neither you nor hardly anyone else has enough, now listen to this, enough connecting connections with those truthful facts to really get a hold of what I'm saying with those truthful facts. I know because I used to be there in my portion of the mass mind, just as you are now. You know, that's what the reason I know that's the way it is with you is because that's the way it used to be with me around 25 years ago when I started studying all these things. Now, we know that money doesn't buy happiness by the multitude of examples that each of us notices around us and around the world. Now listen to this. Happy experiences are always caused by the same cause, and that's happy interpretations about the people, about the conditions, and about the events. Excuse me, I've got to catch my breath here. Happy experiences are always caused by the same cause, and that's happy interpretations about. Happy interpretations about the people, about the conditions, and about the events. What the word about does is it separates the subject or the symbol from the cause. That's why I put it in caps when you read it. When you read my materials, I have the word about in caps all the time to separate the subject or the symbol from the cause. But we have almost no congruence when it comes to our constant chasing after money. Then when we get some money, we only want more, and even feeling like we need more money. But what if our precious children and next generations could get off of this very phony and very dizzying merry-go-round? What if our precious children and next generations could get off of this very phony and very dizzying merry-go-round? What if the only kind of social people world that does make reasonable sense is a one for all and an all for one kind of social people world? What if that's the only thing that does make sense? Is that kind of a world? To reiterate, the reason there is no such thing as a real reward nor a real victim is because we're experiencing our feelings about things once removed from them through our own beliefs and interpretations about them, which means we aren't experiencing the things themselves like nearly everyone believes we are. That's why I said, you know, the whole entire mindset of this makes me happy and that makes me upset is just a horrible, well, it's a game we play. It's a game that unbounded and unlimited beings play, and that's almost surely how we drifted into all of this mess in the first place, is to pretend we are what we're not, a body, and then pretend that the world is affecting us. And now we have all kinds of drama to draw from, you know, as long as we maintain our, you know, in the lie itself, within a lying, what I call a lying bubble. We're contained and imprisoned in a lying bubble where the context is, I am my body, and what happens in the world, often affects bodies. So what happens in the world must be affecting me. So then we say therefore, and we go out to manipulate, both passively and aggressively. Anyway, without getting into that more. So the following two story examples will prove this all out. Then we'll find out what that means, where a one for all and an all for one kind of social people will make wonderful, reasonable sense. Here are the two stories. Just give me a moment here to make sure this is continuing. Okay, here's the first story. Around 30 years ago, and just before I left the Mormon Church belief systems behind and took up with the truth, because that's what you have to do. If you take up with the truth, you have to leave the Mormon Church belief systems behind. In fact, doesn't matter what church you belong to, unless it's like Unity that has, well, I won't go into that right now. I was in a Mormon Church position to hear the sinful confessions of the members of our group. One day, a 15-year-old girl came to me to confess that she had done oral sex on a 1.5, nearly 2-year-old boy that she regularly babysat, and she had done this on 3 separate occasions. She had given him toys to play with while she sucked his penis, and on 3 separate occasions. Among the questions I asked her was, how did the little guy react? She answered, twice he didn't react at all, and once he squirmed a little bit, and so I stopped doing it. Again, that was some 30 years ago. I don't know much about the young lady who would be about 45 now, but I know enough about the boy to know that he's as fully functioning a young man as any young Mormon men I know about. He's as fully functioning, and so he's around 32 now, married with children and going on with his life. Thus, he was sexually molested on 3 separate occasions, and he never even had the experience of it. Do you want me to say that 10 times so that it gets through to you? He was sexually molested on 3 separate occasions, and he never even had the experience of it. In fact, only the young lady and myself ever knew anything about that confession, and so not even the little boy knew that he was supposed to have been so seriously violated and terribly abused as we stupidly think about child sexual so-called molestation. Back then, he had to have seen her sucking his penis. She did it 3 different times. He had to have seen her while he was busy playing with his toys. But as we all know, and when he was only 1.5 years old, he couldn't have made anything out of what was happening between his legs. And so he just kept on playing with his toys while it was going on, probably thinking about it as just something else she was doing to care for him. Why wasn't he affected in a problematic way back then by it? I hope I don't get off the track here, but we don't experience it. Unless it is our own defining mind context about things, we never experience it. It is always the subject or the symbol, and it's never the cause unless it is our own defining mind context about things. And it's because people's minds are not disturbed by events, but by their own problematic judgments on events. That's what Epictetus said in 101 AD. And all of the Epictetus's, thinking, actually, he didn't write. One of his followers wrote things down for him, but that's what his writings were about, that people's minds are not disturbed by events, but by their own judgments on events. And since the little guy back then didn't have any problematic interpretations to apply to what was happening, he couldn't have any problematic experiences as the effect of having no problematic interpretations for it. You know how that would be. And we had this Duger family thing going on. My God, I can't even stand to listen to the traditional clinical psychology talk about that, because they are so off base, and I just want to shake them, take them by the shoulders and shake them and say, my God, wake up. Stop this madness, I'm using the truth to contend. Adults being sexual with children isn't a good idea. Okay? Adults being sexual with children isn't a good idea. But after the fact, But after the fact, we better the hell stop lying about what is causing what when we're in a position for the truth to work its wonders on both supposed victim and supposed perpetrator in these kinds of cases. For, and here comes a quote, is the first quote that I read from A Course in Miracles where I took up, it was from another source, and here was the quote: guilt is totally insane and has no reason. And they're using the word not like crazy, not like an adjective like that. It's factual. Guilt is insane, and it has no reason. That's a quote from A Course in Miracles. That quote is what got me really going on this journey without distance to a place that we could never leave, and that would be our own reality. That's what this time-space thing is a journey without distance to a place we could never leave, and that's our own real reality. So that's what it's about, is correcting our minds so that we can awaken, So that you'll know, I'm not saying, again, what I said before, I'm not saying child sexual so-called molestation is okay or not okay. I'm saying and proving with the truthful facts that it can't matter. So why judge it at all? Did you get that? I'm not saying it's okay or not okay. I'm saying it can't matter, so why judge it at all? So here is the next story, and then we'll find out more of what this all can mean for the establishment of a heaven on earth through the natural course of understanding and using human truth, which again is only that we're a cause-life entity, only pretending the roles of effect. Therefore, only human interpretations are able to cause human feelings and human experiences. I've got that. Okay, I said that without reading. I'm going to read it one more time. We're a cause-life entity using a body and various senses of ourself to pretend the roles of effect. Therefore, only human interpretations are able to cause human feelings and human experiences. Now watch how this all plays out in the next story here. Story number 2. This, too, is a real happening and fairly ordinary story. Many years ago, I guess it was about the same time as the other story was, around 30 years ago, or give or take. Many years ago, when my children were young, in our backyard on a hot summer day while I was watching, my 7-year-old girl and my 5-year-old boy both at the same time got sprayed in the face with a water hose nozzle that their 3-year-old brother was fiddling around with, trying to figure out how the nozzle works. So when he did figure out how the water comes out, the nozzle happened to be pointed at his 2 older siblings, and they both got sprayed in the face when the water came gushing out. It always makes me, I always laugh when I think about that, because I can remember, I can see it in my mind how that happened. Their 3-year-old brother was just fiddling around with it, and then all at once it came out, and it came gushing out, and both of them got sprayed in the face at the same time. After my 7-year-old girl caught her breath, she started crying as she ran into the house to report her victim's story to her mom this way: Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me cry. But my 5-year-old boy, after he caught his breath, he started laughing and catch my breath here. But my 5-year-old boy, after he caught his breath, he started laughing and jumping up and down. Then he grabbed the water hose and started having fun with it himself. It was about this time in my life when I was starting to really get humanity's thought reversal problem from studying my main mentor, A Course in Miracles. And so I noticed the situation pretty good there. So very shortly after that happened, I went over to my 5-year-old boy and asked him why he laughed when his sister had cried. And he just shrugged his shoulders as if to say, I don't know why my sister cried, because, what happened with me is Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me laugh. Okay? Did you get that? Let me tell you, I'm going to explain that right now, but before I do, I want you to understand something about A Course in Miracles. It has two main purposes. One is to reverse the thinking of the world, so the thinking of the world finally starts lining up with cause and effect. Did you hear me? That's its main purpose, to reverse the thinking of the world, so the thinking of the world finally starts lining up with cause and effect. That's what I've been trying to tell you through here. Instead of the world affecting us, we're affecting the world and then believing the world is affecting us. And the second purpose is for you, is to get you in touch with your inner teacher, which is the truth itself. And by the way, that's, with my passion, and to say the truth is my inner teacher is an understatement. Boy, is it ever. And the revelations that come out, if I could, I don't have the time to tell you all the things, but it's just wonderful to be taught by the truth. That when you know the truth, we're cause only pretending the roles of effect, therefore, and with the therefore is the extension of right-minded thinking, And then only our interpretations about things are able to cause our feelings and experiences, and then another therefore. And that's, therefore, is the extension of right-minded thinking. And so both my little girl and my little boy, in a seeming natural occurring way, reported what happened, which is Tyler sprayed them both in the face at the same time with a water hose. And what happened caused, as they supposed, what happened caused my little girl to cry, and the very same happening caused my little boy to laugh. Don't count on that. Stop counting on it is what I'm saying. My kids were programmed by their mom and me, and we programmed them with wrong-minded thinking, just like nearly every child gets programmed, at least in the United States. There might be a few strictly raised Buddhists that don't get programmed with wrong-minded thinking to begin with, and so they start out in the context of that gigantic lie. The world is affecting us, therefore. But the truth says what happened had nothing at all to do with the way either of them experienced their feelings about what happened. I'm saying the truth says that what happened, Tyler sprayed them in the face with a water hose, it had nothing at all to do with the way either of them experienced their feelings about what happened. Okay, right here, I wish you would pinch yourself or slap yourself in the face enough to get a little sting from it, or to reread what remember what I said, maybe about 10 times. Try to remember what I'm saying there. It has nothing, what happens has nothing at all to do with the way we humans experience our feelings or our lives. And now think of the news. We're just drowning in it, aren't we? Oh, what happened is this and that, and it's just terrible because of this and that, and oh my God, what will we ever do? For the truth also says that what happens never has anything to do with the way any of us experience our feelings or our lives. And yet our entire social people world is built up and going on where what happens is being blamed and credited for nearly everyone's feelings, including how we experience our lives. We couldn't possibly have made a bigger, more far-reaching mistake than that, a false attachment to the material world. See, it started out as a pretense, a game. Let's pretend, that we're being affected by what happens in the world, and let's also pretend that our own defining mind context about what happens in the world has nothing to do with our experience. When our own defining mind context about what happens has everything to do with our feelings and our experiences, and what happens has nothing to do with them. Wow, do you understand what I'm telling you here? Because it's truthful and factual. Thus, if what happened for my kids isn't the cause of their two completely different feeling experiences, which they both thought came from the same one cause, then what happened? If it isn't and can't be the cause of their their feelings or experiences. Okay? What happened? What happened, or Tyler sprayed us in the face with a water hose. Now get this here, please get this, is the subject or the symbol, but not the cause. What is a symbol? It's something that has to be interpreted to be experienced, doesn't it? And then when we interpret it, we don't experience it. Instead, we experience our mental interpretation about it. And then we say we're experiencing it. See, I keep telling you that this thought reversal problem over and over again as I'm talking here. And so it's the subject, or what happened was the subject or the symbol, but not the cause of either of their two completely different feeling experiences. And this is the point. Oh, it is so important to understand that. Two different effects have to have been caused by two different causes. Do you hear that? Two different effects. Two different feeling effects have to have been caused by two different causes. And they have to be mental causes, by the way, not material causes. The actual cause of my little girl's reaction to cry was her own problematic defining mind context about what happened. That was the actual cause of my little girl's reaction to cry. Her own problematic way of thinking about it, her own problematic defining mind context about what happened. And the actual cause of my little boy's reaction to laugh at what they both thought was the same cause was his own happy defining mind context about what happened. Are you getting that? You know, his happy way of thinking about what happened caused him to laugh. I mean, hello, please, my God, maybe it sounds awkward for me to be reiterating this so much, but this is where your mind, see, all through your life you've been swallowed up and marinated and imprisoned in this makes me happy and that makes me upset. All of your life, all of your stories, the connecting stories and everything have had to do with this makes me happy and that world is affecting us. A false attachment to the material world. So Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me cry, and Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me laugh, is wrong-minded thinking, as in incorrect-minded thinking. So what is right-minded thinking, as in correct-minded thinking? It's this. For my little girl, it's this. Tyler sprayed me in the face, and the problematic mind context I'm using about what happened is causing me to cry. And for my little boy, right-minded thinking would have been, Tyler sprayed me in the face, and the happy defining mind context I used about what happened caused me to laugh. Did you get that? Tyler sprayed me in the face, and the happy defining mind context I chose to use about what happened caused me to laugh. Meanwhile, what happened was just a subject or the symbol. But we believe what happens is the cause. Now you know. That's the truth, don't you? You know that's the truth. God damn it, you know that's the truth. The problematic way my little girl was thinking about what happened caused her to cry, and the happy way my little boy was thinking about what happened caused him to laugh. But that's not what they said. They said Tyler sprayed me in the face, and my little girl said, and that made me cry, and my little boy said, and that made me laugh. And, you know, that's what we all say all the time. If my children's mom and I would have been taught by our parents so that we could learn right-minded thinking from our early formative months and years, and so we could have grown up using it in an automatic way, then we would have also taught and programmed our children, and especially demonstrated right-minded thinking, correct-minded thinking for our precious children to grow up with as well. And so You know, it's our fault. It's our kids used wrong-minded thinking, but we programmed them with wrong-minded thinking. And nearly all parents program their children with wrong-minded thinking, incorrect-minded thinking. They're not lining up cause and effect when we're processing our feelings and experiences. And I know for sure we couldn't possibly have blessed our children's lives so much in any way we served our children better than if we had programmed them with right, correct-minded thinking before they became captivated and actually imprisoned in wrong-minded thinking. I know that now, looking back on it now. You know, one time in history, somebody asked Jesus, "Why are you here?" And he said, "I have come to free the captives and to liberate the oppressed." I have come to free the captives and to liberate the oppressed. With what? You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's the Gnostic gospel. That's what Jesus really taught, instead of this other stuff about all this conditional bullshit and all this wrong, right and wrong, good and evil, sin, and all that crap. You know, you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So if our children would have lived right-minded thinking from their early formative months and years, and if my little girl still would have cried as a reaction, she would have reported to her mom something like this. Okay, now listen to this. This is the right-minded thinking way that she would have reported to her mom, something like this. Tyler sprayed Bryce and I in the face with a water hose, and the problematic way I'm thinking about what happened is causing me to cry. But my brother thought about what happened in a happy way, and his happy way of thinking about what happened caused him to laugh instead. Again, you know that's the truth. I want so much for you, the listener here, to understand that. They said, Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me cry, and my little boy said, Tyler sprayed me in the face and made me laugh. And that's a lie. It's a horribly significant lie. Again, the way that she would have reported with right-minded thinking is something like this. Tyler sprayed Bryce and I in the face with a water hose, and the problematic way I'm thinking about what happened is causing me to cry. But my brother thought about what happened in a happy way, and his happy way of thinking about what happened caused him to laugh instead. No, didn't I tell you a false attachment to the material world is our one and only real problem? I put that reply from my little girl to her mom in bold because it's so incredible. I'm reading this as I'm writing. I put it in bold because it's so incredibly important to get, and to get to the point of doing something about it. Also, I nearly always put the word "about," as I told you before, in caps when I'm explaining these issues so as to separate the subject or the symbol from the cause, from the actual cause of our feelings and our experiences. Since my legal petition to be heard puts forth the truthful facts that my own county attorney is never proving cause. Well, how does she even bring a case that she can't prove cause with? Because that's the way it is with all nonviolent, non-forcing human sexual activity trials. The prosecutors are never proving cause. And the traditionally educated clinical psychologists who testify are perjuring themselves because they're saying that the event dictates the experience. The hell it does. It's the interpretation that dictates the experience. You stupid bumholes. You know, and yet they say it's the event that dictates the experience. The hell it is. Since my legal petition to be heard puts forth the truthful facts that my own county attorney is never proving cause when she prosecutes these nonviolent, non-forcing human sexual activity trials, then go ahead and put the same honest and responsible reasoning to the question a supposed, let's say, child victim would have uh, child victim would be asked, such as. Now, this in the very tiny few cases where they ever go to trial on child sexual so-called molestation, that the most significant question that the prosecution would be asking, or even the defense, would be would be asking the supposed victim, how were you affected mentally and emotionally by what happened sexually between you and Mr. So-and-so? You know, they weren't affected at all by what happens, is what I'm saying. That's what's so hard to understand, but it's the truth anyway. Just the way the little boy was. You know, where on 3 separate occasions he was sexually molested, supposedly sexually molested, you know, by the babysitter sucking his penis, and he just went right on playing with his toys. You know, he wasn't affected at all. The answer, or he was affected by, well, I guess she must be taking care of me some way. The answer would be, this is during the trial, you know, like a younger person answering the question, how were you affected mentally and emotionally by what happened sexually between you and Mr. So-and-so? The answer would be, I wasn't affected at all by what happened sexually, but my very highly problematic ways of thinking about what happened sexually are causing the very highly problematic feelings and experiences I'm experiencing. Therefore, what happened sexually between me and Mr. So-and-so has nothing at all to do with the way I'm experiencing my feelings about what happened sexually. Thus, it can't be a problem if the supposed victim isn't relating to it and can't relate to it anyway. They can only relate to what they're making of it or what they made of it, you know. Then the correct psychology and therapy is, it doesn't matter at all because it can't matter at all. Remember at the very first of this, I told you, you know, whether it's okay or not okay is up to you. I mean, it really isn't, because it can't be not okay. If something can't matter, then it can't not be okay too. What is a defining mind context? Okay, that's the next short section here. What is a defining mind context? You probably won't really get this, but I'll tell you anyway. Our own defining mind context about this, that, or anything at all is the one and only aspect of our entire lives that we're able to relate to. Freaking period. Our own defining mind context about this, that, or anything all is the one and only aspect of our entire lives that we're able to relate to at freaking all, at least as things are in time-space. It's the way we're once removed from the material world. The perceiver, the one who experiences our mental and emotional feelings, is once removed from the material world. And it's how a false attachment to the material world is our one and only real problem. And so what is a defining mind context? It's always the one and only cause of our feeling experiences about things. Did you hear that? Again, I'm reiterating it. Our own defining mind context about things is always and only the one and only cause of our feeling experiences about things. There's always something mental that comes in between we as the perceiver and what we as the perceiver are perceiving. It's called our own defining mind context about this, that, or anything at all. It's always there or here, and it seems to serve us by bringing a continuity to, for, and in behalf of our belief systems. It gives us our ongoing storylines and puts our social people world together. But very unfortunately, it puts our world together with wrong-minded thinking, as things are now. You know, the world is affecting us, therefore, you know. Thus, it has to be that we're unconsciously conspired to pretend that things out there are causing us to experience our feelings in here. That's the mistake that I've been saying over and over and over again, a false attachment to the world. that things out there are causing us to experience our feelings in here. And I'm going to leave this part of it at that. The second part of my writings has to do with the cause and effects of human behavior and human decision making, and that's equally as important, but I'll do that on another recording. So thanks a lot for listening to this, and I hope, why don't you comment in my column there and let me use your name. Remember, I'm saying only that she will hear it. That Sheila Polk will hear what will give me this discussion that I've been begging for at least 5 years. I've been begging for some kind of back and forth with somebody that ought to be responsible. And so now, with a legal petition to be heard, she'll be forced to hear this and talk about it and discuss it. And what could it possibly hurt? What could it possibly hurt? But on the other hand, what can it possibly help? And it opens up a whole new wonderful world of truthful responsibility for all of us, where we realize, that there is no such thing as better and worse people, no such thing as better and worse events, and no such thing as better and worse conditions, when the basic care and keeping of bodies is not the issue. So thanks again for listening to this, and please listen to the next one and the others, and study my website also. I'd appreciate that. Again, it's correctyourmind.com. correctyourmind.com.